On behalf of the Rotary Club of Garden City, I'm very happy to welcome you. Santiago Sanchez is currently posted at the Embassy of Mexico in Delhi as head of the Cultural Affairs, Tourism and Education. Santiago Sanchez actually has a bachelor's degree in social anthropology from the National School of Anthropology and History in Mexico, and completed a master's degree in political science at El Colegio de Mexico. Prior to joining the Foreign Service in 2017, he served as a consultant for rural development and cultural heritage projects for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, International Fund for Agriculture Development, and the Mexican Ministry of Education, amongst many other organizations. A great, he's done such a vast kind of, his experience and his knowledge really is vast. Well, that was a pleasure to introduce him, and I request now our fellowship chairperson, Past President Sunita Trivedi ji, to please kindly conduct the program. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, President Naba. So our esteemed guest for this evening, Mr. Santiago Sanchez, who is the Cultural and Tourism Attache, Embassy of Mexico, and of course, my dear members of the Rotary Club of Delhi, Garden City. And yes, I also welcome Mrs. Savitri Sani. So a very good evening to you all, and a happy welcome to our May Fellowship. We can even do with an affectionate welcome, as most of us are already through with our second shots and adequately jabbed for exchanging virtual hugs. So tonight, the month of May brings us, for us, our first trip overseas to a land with ancient histories and civilizations, deep-rooted culture and rich heritage. It is a trip which evokes wafting aromas, splendor of bright colors, rejuvenating music, and mesmerizing dance. So I now invite Mr. Santiago Sanchez, who is the Cultural and Tourism Attache in the Embassy of Mexico in India, to please come up with his beautiful presentation on the country. Santiago.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure and a great honor to be with you tonight. Doing this journey, we are in challenge, and I really appreciate this love, Mexico. And as Silvia and Savitri Swani also have told, we are. I hope I want to use the videos that we selected, we curated for you, in order to complete this expedition to Mexico. And well, Mexico as India share many historical resemblances. Both countries are cradle of ancient civilizations. We share a colonial history and footprints of our revolutionary pasts. The historic regions of Mexico, as in India, it's also marked by a tendency to reinvent itself, constantly making the best of these different influences. And it's a country open to the world, to innovation, to creativity. Even if Mexico was the first country to recognize the independence of India, our relations go well back. And and culture has been one of the backbones of this relation. Exchanges between writers, painters, dancers, and artists have been continuous. To name an example, Satish Gujral received a scholarship from the Mexican government to study muralism with Diego Rivera and David Alfaro Siqueiros, who the last one was his favorite. And also we had a very important poet who was posted as ambassador in the 60s, Octavio Paz, who was completely in love with this country, and this he was able to channel through poetry these huge cultural rivers that Mexico and India represent. And through his work, he was able to introduce India to Mexico, but also he had a big impact on a whole generation of painters and intellectuals here in India. And this work was so important that he was awarded with a Nobel Prize. So I think, for me as a Mexican, who been living in India for 4 years, I feel this great love and I feel this great admiration. And I also know, and this is the title that Sunita also selected, that I love, that Mexico is close enough to feel at home, but also different enough that it's a great adventure. In that sense, without further delay, I will request Rajiv to show the first video. So this is...
Dear India, we live in a world full of culture, traditions, and ideas. But nothing resembles the universes that you and I represent, because we are unique, connected in an indiscernible way, and vibrating to the same beat. Some would even call us soulmates. Our festivals blossom with flowers and colors. Our calendars are full of wisdom, and our waters are filled with life. We have unique spices that enhance our world-famous cuisines. We believe in our stories. We love to tell them over and over again in 1,000 different ways. And we also celebrate them on the big screen. Our architectural heritage is unlike any other. Our legends span millennia, and our weddings are the most unique of celebrations. We are both in constant rhythm of progress. We bet on our future and our modernity because we are the powers that know how to work hard to reap the fruits of our labor. I have always admired your diversity and your sense of community. Your progress astounds me, as well as the respect you have for your roots and your family. You know what it's like to fight for what you want. I admire your vision for the future and how you're working towards that goal. But what I admire the most is how thankful you are for life. Let's see each other soon, so that we can continue to discover each other. I want to show you all of my beaches, for you to get acquainted with the magic of my people, to identify with my creations, and for you to experience all my flavors. I know you will feel at home. I'll introduce you to new friends, landscape of 1,000 colors, and unexpected routes that will absolutely thrill you. I want you to meet my ancient living sanctuaries. You will see how they connect us with something deeper. I'd love for you to experience the highest level of luxury, whether in a jungle, a farm, or a boutique hotel. I know that here you will find the perfect gift for your daughter and your mother. I want you to admire my modernity, my big cities and unforgettable events that will leave you breathless. I feel like I have always known you, because I recognize myself in you. Beauty in our eyes, beauty in our souls, beauty unlike any other. Today, we recognize each other. Let us dance like only we know how. I hope to see you soon. Your soulmate, Mexico.
Wow, so colorful.
Yeah, Santiago. So that was really good. But more than the Taj Mahal, I felt that there were certain monuments over there which looked so much like the Jantar Mantar and those kind of monuments that we have over here. So can you let us know more about those also?
Sure. Actually, no. In terms of heritage, no, Mexico is the eighth country with with more monuments listed in the World Heritage Site by UNESCO, and India is just above. No, so we have a very strong, no, and important no policy and culture of visiting archaeological sites. Well, no, of course we have the pyramids, no, that are from the pre-Hispanic, times, and also we tend to, when we think of the people that inhabit, Mexico, that were called Indians, no, because Christopher Columbus thought that he was going to India. But it's almost 20,000 years of culture. No, perhaps in terms of India, it's not that long, but it's a very complex story. No, and the pyramids also reveal different aspects of the knowledge. Actually, the next video that I will show it's about how Teotihuacan, that is the biggest pyramid in Mexico, the Pyramid of the Sun, it was designed to measure time. And one of the strengths of the pre-Hispanic civilizations was mathematics and astronomy. But before that, I just want to mention that Mexico is the largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. We have 120 million inhabitants. In terms of size, we are the fourth largest country, with a total area equivalent to 4 large countries of Europe. That means we are 2/3 of India. But what is interesting is that Mexico has more littoral, has more coast because of the shape of the terrain. And this is the result of a geological a clash of tectonic plates that also make Mexico a very rich and diverse country biologically. We have 9 of the 11 ecosystems that exist in the world, and 12% of all the species of the planet, for a quite moderate territory. And well, speaking of heritage, I wanted to share this video of this site called Teotihuacan. And it's a very interesting culture. Perhaps, Rajiv, you can play the second video so we can comment later on.
Check out that giant calendar over there. This city was home to the Teotihuacan people, which archaeologists really don't know a lot about. No one really knows where they went and how they were destroyed. They left this place totally abandoned. But they did leave us their city. And if you poke around the city and look at the configuration of this huge, goes for 20 kilometers, city, you start to see that they really prioritized keeping track of time throughout the year. And the technology they used to do that was their huge pyramids that they constructed. And the sun, the stars, the mountains, their entire city was built in order to track the movement of the celestial bodies.
Para poder construir esta ciudad, ellos tomaron como puntos de referencia no el norte, sino principalmente el oriente, el este, las puestas de sol, que es lo más importante para ellos.
The civilization was able to track time by keeping track of whenever the sun would rise at the peak of one of these mountains. They aligned it so that the sun and the mountains would be a perfectly aligned clock for them to see what time of year it was. So today people come here to this ruin to celebrate the spring equinox, which is an important time for planting seeds and preparing for the fertility of the land. We don't know how important the spring equinox was for this ancient civilization, but they did leave a few clues that suggest that it could have actually been a really important day.
Y hace una alineación perfecta del sol con la pirámide del sol. O sea, las dos están alineadas perfectamente y la pirámide del Sol no tiene sombra a ningún costado, toda está iluminada.
Tracking the celestial bodies wasn't just about agriculture, it was also about religious practices and ceremonies. Every year at the same time, they would perform certain rituals that they would offer up to their gods. Sometimes that was terrible things like human sacrifices, animal sacrifices, and the celestial bodies helped them know when it was time to do that. This section is the top of the city, the highest point in this whole valley. You see all of these wide open plazas, and some people theorize that these were meant to be filled with water when it would rain, so that people could sit up on the surrounding buildings and look down and see the reflection of the stars. And they would do this so that they could track the stars and study the constellations. Some people theorize that this is how they were able to understand the stars and construct their city based on constellations. I really don't know a lot about these people, like where they came from, what language they spoke, where they went in 600 AD when they kind of just disappeared off the archaeological map. But we do know that they cared about tracking the sun and tracking the stars, and their entire city was constructed and configured in order to be able to do that. The Borders documentaries are finally launching.
So that was very interesting. I mean, like extremely interesting, Santiago. So scientific also, and you know.
Yeah, thank you, Sunita. Actually, yes, because that's also something very important when we go to a place to add to the mesmerizing, experience of witnessing these places, the amazing experience of understanding a little bit, and that's why I wanted to show this video. Well, I want to claim that, of course, there is this heritage that we see in the pyramids. Teotihuacan was abandoned way before our era, before Christ. And actually, the Aztecs were doing archaeological diggings in Teotihuacan. And also, we discussed this in the session 2 weeks ago, that, for instance, Old Mexico City has a lot of heritage sites and objects beneath the center, because the colonial city was built on top of this. But on the side of these, let's say, archaeological findings, and it's super fascinating in terms of art, in terms of science, we have the living root, the living pre-Hispanic heritage that manifests itself in many aspects of life. And one of our intangible assets in Mexico is gastronomy. And
yes. Let's talk about food.
Exactly. Mexican gastronomy, and the effort of generations of the people who inhabit America before the Spanish colonizations, made possible the domestication of ingredients that are common all over the world. I'm speaking of corn, beans, tomato, chilies, avocado, just to name a few. And of course, there are many similarities between Mexican and Indian kitchen, such as our mole and your curry. We have tortillas, you have chapati, and another interesting ingredient originated in Mexico is chocolate. And this was very important for the Olmec civilization. And cacao beans were believed to be a gift of God, of wisdom. And these seeds possess value as a form of currency, even in the Aztec times. So I think these ingredients are also a gift of our country to the rest of the world. And this pre-Hispanic heritage is pretty much alive, as we're going to see in the next video, that speaks of a traditional cook, a traditional chef, that actually she was a very close friend of the family. She's from a region called Oaxaca in the south of Mexico. And it's a very diverse state where many indigenous languages are spoken. And I want to let her speak, through this video. Rajiv, if you can play video 3, please.
No había llegado los españoles para la conquista de México, pero ya tenemos nuestras comidas, ya tenemos cómo cocinar, ya tenemos miles de años. La comida somos nosotros y nosotros somos la comida. Uno cocina con el alma y con el espíritu.
The Zapotecs are the main indigenous group living in Oaxaca, Mexico. Once a thriving civilization of the pre-colonial era, they still keep their traditions very much alive. Introducing Zapotecan Abigail Mendoza, one of Mexico's most respectable chefs.
Ahorita estamos aquí en mi restaurante que se llama Tlamanal. Yo cocino con una de mis hermanas, las otras están atendiendo la mesa, pero somos entre hermanas todas.
Cooking since the age of 5, she has become world famous for keeping the ancestral and traditional Zapotecan ways of cooking alive.
Antes de que llegaran los españoles aquí, nuestros ancestros, pues usaban piedras. Encuentran una piedra bonita y buscan otra piedra para que formaran un metate. Eso es lo que caracteriza nuestra comida, la raíz de nuestra tradición. La forma que yo preparo mi cocina, yo lo preparo de una manera natural, manual, artesanal.
With these tools, Abigail is making dishes like the ceguesa, a pre-Hispanic mole which has a corn-based sauce, chiles, and turkey. She also cooks chiles directly on coal, stuffed with squash blossom seeds, and topped with a melted Oaxacan cheese. And these are all foods that were eaten thousands of years ago.
Originalmente, nuestros ancestros se sentaban en cuclillas para tener el contacto de la tierra hacia ellos, porque gracias a la Madre Tierra tenemos comida. Esto es una parte de la educación cultural que se está perdiendo porque toda la gente está pensando en el materialismo. Ya no está pensando en cómo comíamos antes, cómo nos nutre la comida que nosotros preparamos manualmente. Es más lento, pero también cuando tú quieres tu cultura y cuando tú quieres tu pueblo, pues tú conservas esa parte, yo creo.
Wow, I get all, I mean, I can imagine the aromas and the taste on my tongue, you know, that pungent taste, chili taste. Yeah. So what next, Santiago?
Well, no, no, I just wanted to show a glimpse on how the indigenous people in Mexico really stick to this identity, and this was made able that in 2006 Mexican gastronomy was listed as intangible heritage of the world, but not because of the recipes, not because of just the tastes of it, but because it entails a process, a cultural process that grows from the earth, from the fields, from the agricultural process, and also as in India, the act of being together, and we said that we always cook for someone. It's not an anonymous shape. And I think Abigail represents this in a very, very strong way. Of course, this has evolved in many ways, and as I was saying before, Mexico is a very open country now, and very able to also attract and use new techniques and new ingredients, And this is also, no, this is the next video I wanted to show you, because it shows a little bit of both, no? Of course, traditional cuisine, but also, no, Mexico City, and also a town called San Miguel is one of the culinary capitals of the world, no? You can really find very high-end, no, luxurious, wonderful culinary experience. No, that of course is something that you do once in a lifetime because it's expensive, but it's really really worth it. And also street food that is fantastic. No, so Rajiv, if we can play the next video, please.
Did you know that an intangible cultural heritage of humanity is today Mexico's gastronomy? And now it's on the move. You're challenged to find another country with such diversity of unique destinations, where each extraordinary experience is also an unforgettable culinary event. We have all kinds of cooking to drive you crazy. Traditional, urban, and contemporary expressions of genius in the shape of food. Come down to the mercados and puestos on the streets. Then, jump to its energetic restaurant scene and witness why the media across the world can't stop talking about Mexico now. Come north or south, east or west, and you'll discover countless regional styles of cooking that'll make you feel like you're visiting many different countries at once. Welcome to a foodie's paradise. Step inside a Mexican kitchen and you'll see why many of the world's best chefs are Mexican. Award-winning artists experimenting with traditional and modern ingredients, techniques and styles with inventiveness and sophistication. Let me dare you to try our corn, beans, squash, cactus and fungi. Taste our poultry, fish and insects. Spoil yourself with our vanilla and chocolate. Drink our wine, tequila, mezcal, beer, and coffee. And believe me, there's so much more laying in store. We welcome you to a feast of colors, textures, aromas, and flavors that reveals itself to more than 24 million visitors every year. It's pre-Hispanic. It's colonial. It's modern. It's progressive, but always delicious. Mexico's cuisine is open for you to discover. Keep your senses open to all that's cooking, and better yet, visit Mexico. Bring your appetite for wonder. Taste, smell, see, touch, and fall in love forever. Taste Mexico. Mexico. Live it to believe it.
Very, very nice. But Santiago, you're telling us so much nice things about food, you know, but then all of us, when we are going there, be it Mrs. Amrit Dhingra, Anita, Mrs. Nabha, we would also like to have some shots of tequila. So just know something about that too.
Sure. No, definitely. And of course, tequila, this is originating in a region called Jalisco. It's let's say west, central west, a little bit north of the country. And also the landscape of the tequila producing region has been listed as a cultural landscape by UNESCO. And all this, it's a process that combines a native plant of Mexico, what we call agave, that is similar to a cactus, but it's not the same. It's another species. And the techniques of distillation that were brought by the Spanish. No, no, it's a not tequila. It's the result of this encounter, no, of the old and the new world. And it's no, you can visit as not many people do in Napa or in the Loire Valley in France. You can visit the plants that are the all haciendas, no, that today are some factories, and it's a very interesting, also walk through. No, you can really immerse immerse also, no, through shots.
What about, and then, so what about the capital city of Mexico?
Well, yes, Mexico City, and I think I'm a little bit biased because I'm from Mexico City, but it's a really interesting place. It's been considered one of the cities with the biggest number of museums. It's there's a lot of green areas, and of course, it's a very interesting very interesting mingling of these three cultural legacies: the pre-Hispanic, the viceroyal, and the modern. It's a very vibrant city in terms of cultural offer. You can see many theater, cinema, music. Also, I personally always, when I have guests from abroad, I like to take them to the lucha libre. Is the wrestling that is very colorful and very fun. It's something that I really recommend because the show itself, it's very choreographic, very fun, but also the audience is a show itself because people get very passionate about their team that they support. In terms, cuisine I've already mentioned. And this was the center of modern Mexico in a way, and so
you can see
a few of the most important artworks of Diego Rivera, of Orozco, and you can watch it in Mexico City. And I want to invite you to see two videos in a row. They are short videos. One is on Mexico City in general, and then we'll do a very short tour through Frida Kahlo Blue House, where she used to live. So Rajiv, please, if you can play the two videos in a row.
The more I remember this place, the more I want to go back. The comfort, the colours, the flavours. We found ourselves in a vibrant city that surprises you at every step. A city so diverse that it makes you feel like there's never enough time to enjoy it. A city with so much history that in many places it seemed like time had stopped. A place so ever-changing that it even makes you change. I've never expected to find an 18th century castle in the middle of a huge city. I don't know how to explain it. We just have to go back. Mexico City, live it to believe it.
very nice. And now over to
that's just a general panoramic view, and then we go with video number 6.
Frida Kahlo's home, that was just called the Casa Azul because it's bright, bright blue walls on the outside, it was built by Frida Kahlo's father in Coyoacán, a district in the southern part of Mexico City. Frida was born there, and she lived there most of her life. When I was doing the research in the mid-70s, I spent a lot of time there, and I really did feel her presence because all of her objects are there, and people are sort of present in the things that they choose to have around them during their life. She spent a lot of time in bed in her house. When people went on trips, she always wanted them to bring her some little thing. She loved objects, and I think they were a kind of connection with the outside world for her when she was more isolated. The house is decorated with mostly folk artifacts, a reflection of her sympathy for the people of Mexico, the poor of Mexico, the Indians, and that was such a powerful matter of pride for Frida Kahlo to be very Mexican. Mexicanidad was a very strong emotion, even a political feeling in all the artists in Mexico during the 20s and 30s, 40s. Casa Azul is the essence of Mexicanidad. You don't feel the presence of Diego Rivera very much, except maybe in the garden where his pyramid is. It's really Frida. And you do feel a lot of her anguish. It's sort of full of sorrow. So the house for Frida was kind of her oasis because she spent so much time in bed, and the house was almost like her clothes. I mean, she spent hours dressing, picking the right color sash or ribbons for her hair, what flowers she would wear, what jewelry. And the house was sort of the same. I mean, she decorated it and she cared about it, and it became a reflection of herself.
Very nice, Santiago. बहुत visiting. So now let's have some historical factors on Mrs. Sani.
Yes, actually, well, no, as also Mrs. Dingra has mentioned, no, she went to Mexico because her son was, no, in the U.S. And a lot of the connections that we had during the 20th century, India and Mexico, were through the U.S. No, and well, no, we have the great privilege of having here Dr. Savitri Swani, the doctor daughter of Panduran Kankoje, a founding member of Gadar Party who attempted an armed insurrection against the British in the First World War. No, he went to he was in the US. I will let her better tell the story, but I just want to introduce. And also I wanted perhaps to show first the video, but no, this is part of a phenomenon that occurred, no, that I think is related because no, there were many affinities between the revolutionaries in India, no, since the beginning of the 20th century, and Mexico. That was actually, no, the first revolution, major revolution in the 20th century. No, our revolution started in 1910. That was before the USSR. No, before, of course, Cuba, Vietnam. No, so no. And I also have to say that it's not unrelated because actually, Panduran Kankoje was portrayed by Diego Rivera in a mural. So what do you think, Savitri? Should we see the video and then?
Yeah, let's see the video. I think.
Okay.
And that video, I believe, has been shot by you.
Well, it was produced by me and with a very generous interviewees such as Savitri, and also a very interesting historian based in Mexico City, who is an expert on the period. Actually, he did his PhD in Oxford, but he worked on India. He wasn't interested in India-Mexican relations. And then he got interested in the subject, but let's play the video so it speaks by itself.
I have been the repository of this wonderful archive without knowing what I had. My mother kept every single bit of paper belonging to my father. In an old trunk, there was an album full of photographs. There were some old magazines. There were newspaper cuttings. Till one of the cultural attaches of the Mexican embassy, Conrado Tostado, told me that these photographs are invaluable because they are by Tina Modotti. I had no idea what was in my hands. I am Anna Savitri Khankhoje, the daughter of Pandurang Khankhoje. Pandurang Khankhoje came from a revolutionary family. His grandfather had fought in the uprising of 1857. So he was brought up with the stories of revolution, independence, left India very early in the 1904 or 6.
I think he first heard of Mexico and its revolutionary politics in California. And he was there as a member of the Ghadar party. So he had close ties with figures like Lala Hardayal, but also with Mexican anarchists like the Flores Magón brothers.
My father basically was a revolutionary. He became a scientist and an agricultural expert by default. The idea was planted when my father couldn't do revolution. He said, well, I'll study agriculture. During the First World War, he fought against the British in Iran. But naturally, the whole revolution did not come to any fruition. At that time, the British Secret Service was very, very active. They chased my father. They tried to poison them. So he knew his life was at stake. And so he went to Mexico. How he reached Mexico, in what condition he reached Mexico, is one of the secrets he never told.
So we don't know for sure how the decision for him to come to Mexico was taken. We don't know why he came to Mexico. But in 1924, he came to Mexico, and mainly I think it was because he was aware of the country's both revolutionary politics and also the deep concern of official circles in Mexico for agriculture and land reform and all the issues that he was interested in.
Then when he finally landed in Mexico, he got the asylum he needed. His life was saved. And that is something that can never be forgotten.
Yes. Khankhoje met Diego Rivera shortly after he arrived in Mexico, probably in the summer of 1924. They both met. They were working together at the National School of Agriculture in Chapingo. Khankhoje, who was a highly trained scientist, was hired to teach at the school, and Diego Rivera had been commissioned to paint, to decorate the chapel of the school. This chapel was a former Christian place of worship, and Diego Rivera was transforming it into a celebration of communist and revolutionary symbols.
And at that time, my father was called the great magician of Chapingo, the Hindu savant, because he was making experiments in genetics which had never been done before.
And it is likely that Rivera was the one who introduced Cancolle to Tina Modotti. Tina Modotti was herself a communist organizer and a very talented photographer.
Tina Modotti offered to photograph all my father's scientific work.
I think Modotti and Cancolle, because they were also exiled and they were far away from home, that brought them together and they developed a kind of lasting friendship. I think this closeness comes across in the pictures that she took of him.
There are some papers in the Mexican Foreign Affairs Ministry where they are asking for extradition from Mexico to United States so that he could be sent back to India. And in India, he was facing a death sentence. But the Mexicans are very loyal. They never allowed him to be extradited back.
That's very.
Dr. Savitri, that was something so touching, so extremely interesting, absolutely never heard of, and what would you like to tell us? Anything you would like to tell us?
Savi, your microphone is off.
You have to unmute. Please unmute.
Rajiv is to. It's not good.
Dr. San, we can't hear. Please unmute.
Vijay, come help me. How do I unmute?
No, this is better. So, yeah.
Is it all right?
Yes,
I asked the Indian Army. I asked the Indian Army, my husband.
No, this is perfectly okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you see, I used to live near that angel that they show in that big column with an angel on top. It brought tears to my eyes. And when I saw the food, and we used to go for picnics to the pyramids, so it brought all my childhood back. But let me tell you one thing: the Mexican people are very affectionate and very, very welcoming. And they treated me from the very beginning. I was born there, but I had a funny name, Savitri Khan Khoje, and my father came from a very distant country. And I was sort of treated very well by them. Nobody ever said anything. I grew up like a Mexican, and in my heart, I still feel in many ways like a Mexican. So it's good to belong to two countries who are so diverse and so interesting.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Santiago, what do you have now for us finally?
Well, I was told that it's an hour because I could stay and show you more about especially food. No, but I wanted to thank you, and to also open the floor to any questions and answers. And I wanted just to show you before closing last video, also a little bit flavor of Mexico, and we can do that before or after as you.
Yeah. Let's have it. Why not?
What are Mexican dances?
Yeah, with the carnival.
Yeah.
We'd love to see the carnival.
Yeah. But they're so colorful and so full of fun.
Beautiful.
Yes, well, that's not a video that I prepared. No, but like for the dances, we have what we call folkloric dances that were mostly made at the end of the 19th century and during all this nationalistic development of during the 20th century, it was perfectionate, and they are very colorful dresses.
Yes.
No, it's a very, very, very
Lovely.
vivid, and no, and of course we also have the indigenous dances, no, and that inspire a lot of these folkloric dances, and those are related to the Catholic calendar, no. So no, no, in Mexico, in the ports, we have no, in the cities that are by the sea, we do have a carnival in Veracruz, especially in Mazatlan, but it's not as important or as big as in Brazil, no. But we love to dance. We no in all the birthday parties, Christmas, no. In my family, for instance, your aunts no will no take you to dance, and you have to do it. You cannot be shy, no, and that's something that is very enjoyable.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
Can you hear me? When I left Mexico at the age of 18 and a half, all my schoolmates and my friends, they first came and we had a dance party at home with a record player. But later on, they took me to the most seedy part of Mexico City, which was called the Tenampa, where you had people, murders and all sorts of things. But you had the mariachis there, and we danced there till 6 o'clock in the morning, and I can never forget that.
Oh, nice. So lovely. How exciting. Yeah.
We do like to party. That's
Should we have that one last video?
true.
Should we have that one
Yes,
last video?
you can do.
We are all searching for a world that's not like ours. And there is no world as different as Mexico.
That was beautiful, really. I think now we really have to see it to believe it. And so I was thinking before we all get into a nice interaction, chit chat, I would like to invite Sylvia, again, our India-Mexico link.
Yes.
Come up and thank from the Indian side to Mexico.
Thank you, Sunitaji. On behalf of Rotary Club of Delhi Garden City, I would like to thank Mr. Santiago Ruiz Sanchez, the Honorable Cultural and Tourism Attache of the Embassy of Mexico, for showing us the glimmer of Mexico in these dark days. Mexico, a universe to discover, brings a bit of happiness for all of us to see the beauty of Mexico in all its glory. It's a ray of hope that one day some of us may be able to visit and experience the hospitality of Mexico. I also heard that Mr. Santiago may be leaving India soon, and we would like to wish you all the success in your future endeavors. And remember that India will welcome you with open arms whenever you return. We at Rotary Club of Delhi Garden City hope that we can continue our relationship with Mexico and the diplomatic mission. And we hope that we can also welcome His Excellency, the Ambassador Federico Salas, one day to one of our meetings. Gracias, buenas noches, mucha suerte. That means thank you, good night, and success. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. So, so now we can all be unmuted and let's have a nice chit chat, whatever we would like to ask Santiago.
Santiago, this is Pragyan. Where do you get the best Mexican food in Delhi? I know. That's why I asked you, Sylvia. That's the first thing I did.
Well, actually, no, it's difficult to find something authentic.
Yeah.
But I would recommend two places that are they are nice, and also like I've been away for a while now, so it's very refreshing and it simmers my nostalgia. One is MKT in Chanakya Mall.
Yes.
There used to be a Mexican chef there. Now he is an Indian chef, but he's very good, and there is a Mexican station. And the other place that is a bit more influenced by Tex-Mex, it's called Miss Margarita in GK2. And no, I think some things are better than others, but I also will recommend. And that's pretty much it, unfortunately.
In fact, last month they had a Mexican food festival at the India Habitat Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I'd known. I'm running there.
Yes.
Yes, from time to time, some hotels do
Yes.
Mexican food promotion, but the quality is very
Different.
like
yeah.
unfrequent, like
But not-
it's difficult to get the good ones. I'm not saying that all they are bad, but there's no certainty on the quality of the food. And I also don't claim like authenticity in a radical way, because of course the way to reach people who don't know you is also by having flavors that are closer to your own culture, but
right.
There is a limit.
Yeah.
True.
But before that, I really want to thank Sylvia for her message. I'm really moved. We met some years back, and she's really, of course, a distinguished member of the Rotary Club, but also a distinguished member of the Mexican community
Thank you.
in India, and she's always expressing solidarity with all the fellow Mexicans, and also giving advice, and she's very active, and of course I will definitely share all this experience with the ambassador, and he was also very happy that I was participating with you, and I'm sure that this is just the beginning of many other interactions, and as Sunita said, also maybe next time we'll meet in Mexico.
Yes, that's right.
We are very determined people, Santiago, and we're all looking forward.
Which
In
is the
fact, I
best time
already
to
started-
visit? Which is the best time to visit Mexico? Which months?
Silvia, you know better. What would you say?
I think the best time would be any time of the year, honestly. I mean, June to February is very much like in India, I suppose. I mean, it's not as hot as India, depending on which place you go to. And if you want to really enjoy a beach resort, any time of the year is the best time.
Yeah, perhaps avoid a bit summer, because it's rainy, like July, August,
Yeah.
But the rest of the year is very No?
Very pleasant.
Very
September, October.
And then
September.
what is the best route to get there?
In terms of plane, of
Yeah,
flights,
flying.
How do you fly there?
yeah, well, no, it used to there used to be more options, but no, the fastest way to get there is through Europe or the US. No, and once you are in one of the destinations in the US, there are many flights not only to Mexico City or Cancun, but to other many destinations in Mexico.
That's right.
Yeah, so you can fly through Frankfurt, Paris. Those are like quality price, good in terms of quality price, and also I used to like a flight that was through Toronto, and that was very fast and very comfortable. But I think right now it's not
It's not available. Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree with you there. This way is always to Europe. I find it less tiring.
Where is Santiago's next posting? Where is his posting? Santiago, where is he going? Which,
I got to know actually on Tuesday. I'm going to Havana in Cuba.
Cuba,
wow. Lovely place.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
You're looking forward to that? Forward to that?
Yes, I also want to be a bit closer from home.
Ah, okay.
That will be very close, in fact.
Yes.
So how long will it take you to get to home from Havana?
It's a 2.5-hour flight, something. Not
Very comfortable.
I think going to Kerala or Chennai.
Send us some cigars from there.
Rum.
Famous cigars, yes.
And revolution.
So
you know, I have a confession to make. My husband was born in Cuba.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was born in Havana. My parents were posted there, so we have the Cuban connection happening there.
Wow. So we'll need to meet there, Sylvia.
Yeah, we'll all the Rotary Club will come together and we'll have a party.
Wow, that'll be fun.
Actually, many tour agencies, I shouldn't be saying that, but they do like Mexico and Cuba like on a single trip. That's something I know that is in the market.
True. No, but then actually, I must compliment Mexico for giving us Sylvia, because once again she's so warm and she's absolutely like just not like a foreigner. Very, very warm and sweet, very effective. So
I have a question, if I may ask, Sunita ji.
Yeah, Brinda, of course.
Sunita, I have a question for Santiago, if I may ask. Unfortunately, in the Women's International talk, I didn't get a chance to ask him. Good evening, Santiago. You know, when I was in college, I did an anthropology course, and there was a lot of talk about the Navajo tribe and how they were uplifted. I was wondering if the Navajo is a part of Mexico also, or is it just the southern part of America that has that tribe? Are you familiar with that name?
Yes, actually, Navajos, I think that we don't have in Mexico. It's
no
in the US, but we do have some tribes that are binational. So part of their territory, the traditional territory, are in Mexico and part in the US. So
of the original Indians, right? The tribes that were
Indians.
belonging to the American Indians. So what does, in your, I just want to know, as far as culture and trade is concerned, what do you do to kind of uplift them? Like, in India, we have these tribal, these associations that have art and craft and music that kind of keeps that going, what they've done. Do you have any such upliftment program for these tribals? I'm just curious.
No, from very early on, Mexico was in the avant-garde of promoting, for instance, bilingual education. That means that Spanish is not a force into them, but they get to like first learn their own language and then go to Spanish. Also, we call it, we used to be called política indigenista, that many projects that were regional in their bases that try to improve agriculture, not to build unions of artisans, of weavers, ceramics, and there's been historically a policy to develop these populations that tend to be in poverty, because they are rural mostly. And of course there were many mistakes on the way, like everybody, and of course this big depth towards the original populations of not only Mexico but all America still pending. It's not something that is completely fixed, but there are many policies that try to also balance this idea of course economic development, but also preserve the traditions and the territories and the and the customs, and that's also ongoing conversation. But what I wanted to tell about what is interesting is that these populations that like Navajos, Yaquis, were nomads. They were mostly nomads, in contrast with the civilizations of the South that built the pyramids. But they are they're still there are many in Mexico, and they have these also bi-national territories. So the government of USA and Mexico had agreed that these people, if they prove that they speak the language, they can go on both ways of the border. They are they have both nationalities, and it's not an issue. It's very interesting because it's one nation, and
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
2 states. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice information. Sita, I remember once you were sharing this very interesting thing about that fruit chiku. Can you please tell us again?
Actually at the Women's International Club, when Santiago had come, and as well as the Mexican ambassador, Santiago said that there were many similarities between Mexico and India. And one of them, he mentioned a particular fruit. He said in Mexico, it was known as the chiku sapote.
That's right.
And but he says when he came to India, he found it had, the name had got bifurcated, and it was just called chiku.
Chiku, yeah.
I suddenly remembered that in Madras, when I was living there, we used to have a fruit growing in my garden, which was called sapota. It was a round fruit, a very sweet, brown leathery skin, and suddenly it clicked. And I thought that this fruit, which in Mexico is known as chiku sapote, is the same fruit which is known as chiku in North India and as sapota in South India. So the double-barreled name has been bifurcated into 2, but it was the same fruit. So that's very interesting because Santiago thought it was unusual that the fruit which is known as chiku sapote is known as chiku in North India. But the fact of the matter is the other part of the name went to South India and it's known as sapota there.
Yeah.
And call it so that's very, very interesting. And it was a very, very fleshy fruit with black seeds, over sweet, with a thick leathery skin. And I remember it used to grow in my garden.
Yeah.
So in the Telugu language, they call it as sapota.
Sapota, that's
Yeah.
In the south,
so
it's
now
known as
I think
sapota.
Sita auntie and Deepika have to send all the Rotarians 1 carton of sapote each, just to introduce us to this fruit.
No, but you must have eaten chiku in North India, Brinda. It's the same thing.
No, but we don't know what sapote is, so now you have to send us.
No, but it's the same.
It is the
Same thing.
same
It's
school.
Chiku.
Same thing. Yeah, same.
Actually,
Except the name, if for some unusual reason, the name got split into two. In Mexico, it's called by both names, but in India, it's known as Chiku in North India and Sapota in South India. And I believe the horticultural name of this plant is known as Sapodilis. So that is why it became Sapota in the South.
actually, there's other interesting fact on zapote. There is a whole family, it's a genre of fruit of trees, and in the south of Mexico, they use also for producing natural chewing gum. The original chewing gum was extracted as no, you do with rubber, no, from the corteza. I don't know how to say yeah, like the skin, no, of the. So you cut the tree and you let all the syrup of the tree.
There must be the sap.
The sap.
The sap.
The sap go into you collect it, and that's not the origin of chewing gum. Then it was synthesized with petroleum, and that's the ones that we get in the supermarket or no. But it used to be out of a tree that is of the family of zapote.
Yeah, yeah. Anita, any exciting experience you had when you had gone to Mexico?
Who are you asking, Sunita?
Anita.
No, I'd like to ask Santiago a political question. Mexico had a bit of a tempestuous relationship with the Trump administration. What do you expect from the Biden administration?
Well, no, all Mexico and the US are so mingled. It's really, our economies are so, intertwined, that, even, when we had someone like Trump, that, all this demagogy, all this, rhetoric that was very harmful, for migrants and for Mexicans especially.
Yes, yes.
He wasn't able to really make all the things that he wanted to do, So, of course, what is interesting is that by the end of the Trump administration, our President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, our current president, was working quite easily with Trump. And of course, now that Biden is in office, it has started again all the contacts. But I think it's such an important relation that even if there is a I don't know, personal encounter that it's not so smooth. Like there are so many mechanisms, so many we share. I don't remember exactly, but it's more than 3,000 kilometers of border. It's so important, that not many states in the U.S. live out of the exports that they do to Mexico. So of course there can be some switches, but we are so integrated that it won't be that bad.
It'll work out.
Yeah, it will work out.
Great.
I'd like to ask one question if possible. Yeah, Santiago, could you inform? I mean, could you let the people know if they want to travel to Mexico, whether they require a visa or whether the American visa would work for them if they ever want to go on a tourist visit?
Sure. And yes, actually, we've made what we call a facilitation program. So if you own a valid visa for US, UK, Schengen, Japan, Canada, you don't need to have a Mexican visa to enter Mexico. No, you are spare of going to the embassy and doing all the process. But of course, it has to be a valid visa. But that helps a lot. And when we see the statistics, like most of the people that go to Mexico for tourism, for instance, or even business, they already have one screening process through these what they call high vigilance countries, and we spare our friends of the process of going through the visa application.
Great. Makes
good.
simpler.
Now the plot is getting better and better.
So, Santiago, does one need any vaccinations for going as a tourist to Mexico? Like for Africa, you need a yellow fever vaccine. Do you need anything? No, just the same as America. Okay.
Yes, it's,
Thanks.
and nowadays also it's very simple. You just have to fill a health questionnaire. There is no quarantines or no test requirements. No mandatory. No.
So I think that was really interesting.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So we call it a day. I hope, Santiago, you enjoyed yourself with us. I hope.
Much as we did. Much as we did.
We definitely did enjoy.
Thank you. I did as well. I'm very happy. And also with friends like Savitri and Silvia, this is fantastic.
We'd like to wish you bon voyage. Have a good trip back.
Oh,
Thank
don't
you
send
so
it
much.
so soon.
It's not
Abhi
yet,
to
no?
nahi.
It's a while away.
A couple of months.
Well, we still have you for a couple of months here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, really, for the space, the opportunity, the interest, and the doors are always open at the embassy for any follow-up, doubts, discussion, conversation, and best of luck.
Thank you for the.
Mucha suerte.
Thank you very much. Once the scene becomes better, yes, definitely we'll like to participate in all the cultural activities that you have there. Once the environment is better, we look forward to that. And thank you very much, Dr. Savitri. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much for having me in this space. Thank you.
And very nice sharing your experience with us. It was very interesting.
Thank you. Okay. Good night, everybody. Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you, Sunita.
It was really nice. Thank you,
so
Sunita.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It was
Sunita.
very nice.
Thank you, everyone.